I'm just really hyped for playing through all the Final Fantasies again and finally doing them right this time. Like, we're gonna do them completely. We're even planning doing like some like challenge runs. And the way I'm doing that is I'm doing a regular playthrough of each game. Like I'm doing right now. I'm doing a regular playthrough of Final Fantasy 1. But then we have the channel goal of like a challenge run, which in this case is if enough people spend their bananas, we will play through Final Fantasy 1 again. But this time when we play through it, we're gonna let the stream pick the party, whether that's all white mages, all black mages, or just a solo run, like solo fighter, solo monk, solo red mage, whatever. And we'll try and beat chaos with that challenge party. And we're gonna do a community goal, like a stream goal for each game like that. So I don't really have one planned for 2, but like, you know, when we get to 4, the stream goal isn't going to be a challenger, and the stream goal is going to be when I play 4, I'm planning on playing. Let's go ahead and do the star review thing. When I play 4, I'm planning on playing the PSP version, like the Final Fantasy 4 collection that came out on PSP with the after years and all that. But the extra stream goal will be to play Final Fantasy 4 again, but to play the DS version with like the augment system and all that stuff that they changed. Like the DS version of Final Fantasy 4 is very different than the other ones. It's they have a system for being able to like trade abilities between it party members and getting all kinds of other stuff. Like it's kind of crazy that they did that, honestly. So that'll be the goal for 4. For 5, I think the goal we were talking about, I just beat the game, but then like the goal was going to be, if people spend enough bananas, I'll play through again, but do like a 4-job fiesta where we can only use basically 1 random job from each crystal for the whole game. You know, etc. Like for 7, we were talking about doing. The goal is going to be that I play through with this fan-made overhaul mod that Thuderex was telling me about. You know, different stuff like that. I figured for 8, I was thinking about doing just like, I've never beaten 8 myself, so I'm just gonna do like a regular playthrough, try and learn the game and figure out what I'm doing and all that. But then the goal for that one would be to come back, study up, and then just like break the game over my knee, because I know that those mechanics are super breakable. You know, like I'm not gonna know how to do it the first time through, but the second time we could like really just like study up and abuse the card system and all that. So, you know, stuff like that. We have a lot of things planned. I'm gonna try and I think I've been lax through the whole Xenogears, Xenosaga thing. Like, I've been just letting people accumulate the channel points, like the bananas, but I've not been giving them anything to do with them, and I feel bad about that. So I'm trying to come up with different ways that you guys can spend your bananas to, you know, influence what's going to be on the stream to see what you want to see. And right now we also have ones going to add Final Fantasy Adventure or Final Fantasy Legend to the mix. They're not technically Final Fantasy games, but they got the name on there, so you know. If that's what people want, you know. I don't think you ever get things out of pots in Final Fantasy 1. Alright. We got the Earth Rod, so we can get to the Lich now. Before we go to the Lich, I kind of want to go see if I can learn haste, but I mean, I guess I don't need haste, but it would be nice. Bravely Default? Like, Bravely Default is in no way a Final Fantasy game. Okay, it has the job system, but it's not a Final Fantasy game. It's Final Fantasy adjacent, I guess. It is a JRPG with Final Fantasy style jobs. But it's basically Final Fantasy. I mean, it's very Final Fantasy-esque, I'll give you that. No plans at the moment to add Bravely Default to the list, no. Anything down here? I mean, that's kind of like if we're doing like a Zelda marathon and you're like, what, you didn't put Beyond Oasis on the list or Alundra? You know, it's like, they're very Zelda-like. I mean, in the case of Bravely Default, I mean, they're straight up made by the same people, right? But like, still. Lesser tigers. It must suck to be the lesser tiger. Is there a greater tiger somewhere, or do we just have these poor lesser tigers? And it's like you made a monster for the game, and like you bring it to your boss, and like, hey, I made this new monster. We could put it into the game, and he's like, okay. What's this supposed to be? It's a tiger. He's like, let's call it a lesser tiger. Why lesser? I feel like we could draw a better tiger later, you know? I don't remember there being other tigers later is the reason this comes up, I guess. The poor lesser tigers. Maybe we'll get a palette swap tiger later and I'll be like, oh, there's the greater tigers. At the very least, we need to go back to Melmond and refresh our potion stack and stuff. It's like 6 floors to get to the Lich. I mean, all that said about Bravely Default, I'm not opposed to playing Bravely Default. I just don't know that it belongs in the Final Fantasy franchise playthrough, that's all. I think it seems like a great RPG. I've never beaten it. I've played like the opening chapter and tried it out, but I have not made it very far. So I would be interested in playing it sometime in the future. Just I don't know if we're gonna do it for the Final Fantasy thing, that's all. I don't know if they even have an item store here. Do they have an item store here? They must, right? I mean, I don't know if they do. Most towns have an item store. But I'm like, I walked around the town and I didn't see one. We can go somewhere else and we can go back to Elf Kingdom and buy our level 4 magic, I guess. We still can't learn level 5, but maybe you can get level 4 now. We got like 50-something thousand gil. We could buy that armor too. I don't know if I want to spend that much on armor. Like, trying to think of when his next armor upgrade will be if I don't buy it. I can see what it is now. It's 34 defense. What's he have right now? Right now his is 24 defense. So I mean, it's 10 more defense. That's somewhat substantial. I'll give it that. I guess I don't have much else to do with the money at the moment. Yeah. Could upgrade the thief with a silver armlet too. Why not? As long as we have enough to buy his spells. Poor thief's still been wearing leather armor this whole time. Hold on to this for now. Alright. You recommend Bravely Default highly? It looks like a good game. Like, I completely agree with that. I just haven't ever gotten around to playing it, that's all. I would definitely be open to playing it. I just, like I said, I just don't know if it fits into the Final Fantasy franchise playthrough because it's not in the Final Fantasy franchise. But then we are playing other ones that aren't too, if like Final Fantasy Legend and Final Fantasy Adventure make it into the list. So I could be convinced. We're playing them in release order though, so it would be a long time before it got onto the list. But maybe when we get out around to the year when in their line when Bravely Default came out, we can put up a community goal to add it or something. I could see that. And if not, I mean, we'll finish the Final Fantasy thing and maybe we'll just play Bravely Default at some point. Like, it's right up my alley. It's in my niche. It's the kind of game I play on the stream all the time. My only problem I have on the stream is I have too many good RPGs to play. It's one of those first world problems, right? It's like, oh man, there's just so many games I want to play, and there's just only so much time in the day, right? Alright, let's grab haste. Thank God you can finally learn that. And I mean, I guess we could learn poison just because why not? Come up. I almost never cast the regular null spells, but you know, they are not bad spells against certain enemies. Alright, item store. They don't sell high potions here. High potions were sold in Crescent Lake, I guess. Alright, let's get like 2 more of those just in case. Get back up to 10 on antidotes. Even though we have poison, I feel better having them. Okay. And we got our spells. Let's stay at the end. And then we will head back to the Lich. Did you ever play the sequel to Bravely Default? I've played the very beginning of Bravely Default 1. I haven't even looked at the sequel because I figured I haven't beaten 1, right? One thing I will say about Bravely Default, the little bit I did play of it, is that like I wasn't complete. I love RPGs with a job system. Some of my favorite Final Fantasies have the job system. Some of my favorite Dragon Quests have the job system. I really love the job system, I wasn't completely sold on the core mechanic of the game, which is the whole brave and default part, right? Like the storing up turns for later thing. It sort of reminds me of Xenosaga Episode 2, which isn't a good thing. Like, I wasn't sold on that. That said, I still had fun with what I played, so maybe it's not bad. Speaking of the job system, we don't get the job system till Final Fantasy 3, but I'm looking forward to it. I mean, technically we have the job system here, sort of, right? But it's really just which characters are you going to have in your party. You don't get to, like, change jobs or anything. Final Fantasy 3 and Final Fantasy 5 are like the real beginnings of the Final Fantasy job system. Okay. Let's make our run at the Lich. Let me get this first crystal knocked out. The fighter's getting to the point where he has much more armor than even like the red mage. The red mage is taking like double-digit damage from a lot of these guys. Fighter probably would only take one. Anytime we get a group of like 6 or more, it's probably worth it to spend 3 MP and cast Sleep just to limit their turns and speed up the process, honestly, because we have to sit here and wait for them to attack when they have turns. You played the second one, it's just really fun experimenting with all the combinations. Yeah, I can see that. I love job systems. My biggest thing when I played it, I just wasn't sold on the brave default part. Which is, I mean, it's named after that, so I'm guessing that's like the big thing, right? at least when you default or whatever and store up your turn, you're defending. In Xenosaga Episode 2, it has a similar system where you can stock up your turns, but you don't even like defend when you do it. You're just literally like, nope, pass. Keep hitting me. Keep hitting me. I'm waiting. It gets better later. I mean, you can get things that like make you get like EP back and stuff when you stock, I guess, but still. Alright, let's here. It's kind of, I've played this game enough times on the stream at this point that I know a lot of these maps just from memory. Because I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm making wrong turns every now and then, but like I know generally where to go. It's nice having every party member just dishing out large chunks of melee damage every turn. This is actually a pretty strong party. I wasn't sure how much not having black and white mages would affect things. They seem fine. Alright, so that's where we fought the vampire, and now we can use the rod we got to continue further down. Go. I think we want to go this way. Looking back. Sphinx. Come on, dude, move out of the way. Hyenodon. So many things to step on. Tower Plus. Raises strength. Is that permanent? I don't remember that item. I don't know. Okay. More Pisca Demons. I love this enemy. So none of you guys play World of Warcraft? I'm excited for Shadowlands to come out. I don't stream World of Warcraft, but I do play it. And I'm hoping that the pre-patch, the pre-expansion patch might come out tomorrow. Like, because, you know, WoW does their maintenance and upgrades on Tuesdays. And they usually do the pre-patch before an expansion a month before the expansion comes out. If it's not tomorrow, I guess it has to be a week from tomorrow. But whenever they do the pre-patch, it's gonna update the way you level your characters in WoW, and I am excited to try out the new leveling system. I've probably played World of Warcraft more than any other single game that I have played. I've played a lot of it. Not as much as like a lot of other streamers that I've seen. You know, like if people stream it, obviously they played it a bajillion times more than me. But like, for me, I've played it a lot. Especially like Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King. Like during that time period, I played it quite a lot. And I've come back over the years for certain expansions, right? Like I played through the early parts of BFA and a lot of Legion. I kind of missed the whole Mist of Pandaria part. I didn't play World of Warcraft at all during Mist of Pandaria. Or Warlords of Draenor, really. I kind of missed both those expansions. I've played through the content at this point, but I wasn't there for when it was actually live content. Alright, well, enough of all that. We're at the Lich. Let's just top everybody off. And we'll go ahead and hit on a save. Why not?